I'm just going live.
Ends their 4-game losing streak before the Pac-12 tournament.
The men's basketball team looks to extend their winning streak as they take the court for the final time at home.
The women's hockey team's exciting run in the WWCHL playoffs and more in this edition of Scope of Sports. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Scope of Sports. I'm Nicholas Evans.
And I'm Zachary Giesenslaw. It's a beautiful day in sunny Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, it's about 60s and sunny out here today. It's like 20 back home, so it feels good.
Indeed, we're both from out east, and the weather change out here is a change we welcome with open arms.
And that it is. Getting right into it, though, the CU women's basketball team broke their 4-game losing streak last night at home against the University of Washington. The Buffs beat the Huskies by a score of 68-62, completing the 2-game season sweep over Washington. Maddie Nolan led the Buffaloes with 20 points, shooting 6 for 7 from distance. The Buffs play their last regular season game at home against Washington State on Saturday at 1 p.m. here at the CU Event Center.
Prior to their much-needed win over Washington, the Buffs faced their roughest patch in what has otherwise been an incredibly successful season. Their losses against Oregon State, Utah, Southern Cal, and UCLA all were by single digits, but exposed some troubling weaknesses in head coach J.R. Payne's offense and defense. The streak dropped CU to 5th in the Pac-12 heading into this weekend, along with a 4th seed in the ESPN's March Madness bracketology. The Black and Gold remain positive and dead set in making a run in the big dance, but will need a win on Senior Day against the Cougars and a solid showing next week in the Pac-12 tournament in order to stay at a top 4 seed and be able to host the NCAA rounds of 64 and 32 in Boulder.
Last Friday in Los Angeles, the CU women's basketball team took on USC. The Trojans were ranked as the 7th best team in the nation, while the Buffs were ranked 11th in that week's AP poll. The Trojans outscored the Buffs and led by as much as 13 points in the second quarter. Colorado responded, though, with a vigorous scoring run to briefly lead in the third quarter, but Juju Watkins scoring 42 points kept the Buffs at bay, putting an end to the comeback, closing the game with an 81-87 loss for CU.
The Buffs then fell short against the number 8 ranked UCLA Bruins on Monday after a very slow start in the first half. It took Colorado 6 minutes to get free throw points on the board, and their first field goal came with around 3 minutes left in the first quarter. The Buffs still held an impressive defense, forcing 28 turnovers on the Bruins and slowing down their offense in the second half, but Colorado was held back by their shooting. By halftime, CU shot 6 for 28, and UCLA had held the Buffs to just 19 points, their lowest scoring half of the season. Colorado was able to shut the door, however, forcing bad shots and turnovers from the Bruins and cutting the lead to 4 in the final 5 minutes of the game. CU couldn't cash in on the comeback, giving up some turnovers of their own, and the number 8 ranked UCLA came out with the win.
Following a huge double overtime thriller against USC, the men's basketball team was at home against Utah on Saturday. KJ Simpson led the way, contributing 28 points for the Buffs. Javon Hadley as well had 20 points for Colorado as he snagged 9 rebounds throughout the game. The Buffs shot a spectacular 47% from beyond the arc and over 50% from the floor as they crushed the Utes 89-65.
The CU men's basketball team then faced off Cal at home last night. The Golden Bears kept the score close early on, but the Buffs dominated by the end of the first half, building a 14-point lead at halftime. In the second half, the Black and Gold were tasked in fighting off a comeback effort by the Golden Bears, who cut their lead to 5. Colorado may have momentarily felt some deja vu after blowing a 20-point lead the last time they faced Cal, but went on a late scoring run to finish with a 88-78 win for the Buffs.
On Tuesday, our junior guard KJ Simpson was named to the U.S. Basketball Writers Association Oscar Robertson Trophy and All-American Watch List. Then on Monday, he was selected as Pac-12 Player of the Week. Finally, Simpson was one of 40 standout players selected for the Pac-12 Player of the Year honors, as he leads the Buffs averaging 19.6 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 4.6 assists per game. The 15-man USBWA All-America team will be announced before the start of the men's NCAA tournament, and the Oscar Robertson Trophy will be announced at the NCAA Men's Final Four.
On Tuesday, Jalen Sherrod was one of 40 players named to the 2024 Drysdale National Player of the Year and All-America Watch List by the U.S. Basketball Writers Association. The 40 honored players will be submitted to the annual awards ballot, and Sherrod is one of 8 Pac-12 players submitted. Overall, Sherrod has excelled on the court this season, averaging career bests in points per game and field goal percentage. The award winner will be announced at the NCAA Women's Final Four in Cleveland coming up next week.
And in that game against Cal for the men's team, Tristan Da Silva netted his 1,300th career point, which brings us to this week's trivia question. At 1,305 points, where does Tristan Da Silva rank in CU men's point scorers of all time? We'll have that answer for you later in the show.
Who wants to do basketball? Who wants to do football? Who wants to do soccer? Who wants to do volleyball?
That's so sick. Did Christian just say that?
Videography. Anyone want to do that?
The football team has announced that they have dismissed defensive lineman Bishop Thomas. This comes after it was announced that he was suspended for a violation of team rules back in January. He finished his sole season with the Black and Gold with 6 tackles and 1 fumble recovery after transferring in from FSU before the season. His dismissal is not alone, however, as Tavares Dawson also announced that he was dismissed from the team. Dawson was a 4-star transfer from Auburn who caught 14 catches for 146 yards in his lone season in Boulder. He informed Buff's Beat on Monday of his dismissal after he dealt with a personal issue last week.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to Buff Banner. I'm Leo Rivera, and today we'll be discussing the recent ruling on name, image, and likeness, and how it's going to be beneficial going forward. So what exactly is this ruling? Well, simply put, a federal judge granted preliminary injunction against the NCAA. This means they cannot enforce any rules that got to deal with NIL, and this means another variety of different things for college athletes. Cutting out the NCAA means there's no limitations on how much external sponsors can pay student athletes. This is going to create more opportunity for athletes to profit off their name and their talents. This is especially important when considering the large name athletes at CU. From basketball to volleyball and football, CU has many athletes involved in NIL. Now, talking about the recent upcoming project of NCAA 25, it is known that Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter will be involved in this game, and that they are probably going to generate a lot of income from this. Having the NCAA out means they aren't able to tell them how much they're allowed to create moving forward. This is extremely important for our athletes, as we know how hard it is to build up a name for yourself, and considering the grueling task of a lot of these sports provide, it is awesome that they're able to profit off their name moving forward. Of course, NIL is still a very touchy topic, and a lot of things are coming forward about it and how it's going to be impactful moving forward for our students. There are still many battles to be had, but what this ruling is a step in the right direction for the freedom of students and the right to profit off themselves. Well, that's all we have time for this week, folks. Hope you ever learned something. Thanks for tuning in.
The Buffs lacrosse squad was back home for a matchup versus the number 3 ranked Northwestern Wildcats last Thursday. This match was especially important as it acted as a litmus test for the number 19 ranked Buffs, who saw a lot of roster turnover at the top end of the depth chart this past offseason. The Buffs put up a hard fight, but unfortunately for them, it wasn't enough to come out on top. The Black and Gold fell by a score of 19-14. Despite the loss, the Buffs remain ranked in this week's ranking as their competitive showing versus a nationwide powerhouse and a 6-point victory over Central Michigan was enough to keep them in the top 20 as the number 20 school in the nation.
Madeline Pisani and Jess Peluso were awarded Pac-12 Player of the Week honors from our women's lacrosse team. Pisani named the Offensive Player of the Week and Peluso as the Defensive Player of the Week. And we're very excited to see our Buffs get some recognition, especially on their lacrosse team.
After CU joins the Big 12 Conference this July, the Buffs Prentup Field will host the first Big 12 lacrosse championship. Next season will be the first for the Big 12 to sponsor lacrosse as a conference sport, and the inaugural Big 12 lacrosse championship will be held from May 1st to the 3rd in 2025.
Our number 65 ranked tennis team closed out a non-conference play against Colorado State this week with a 4-1 win, extending the Buffs to a 10-win streak. This match was Aya El Said's 100th career match. Right now, the Buffs have an 11-1 record, which is the best non-conference winning percentage in the program's history. Coach Anthony Pham said that he's proud of his group, quote, match after match, no matter what the circumstances are, whether we're inside or outside, windy or not windy, they just come out and they compete. If you do the right things over and over and you battle, good things are going to happen.
Now it's time to unveil our candidates for Play of the Week. We asked you on our Twitter to vote for which of these 4 plays was the very best. Was it this chase down block from Asang Diop in the men's basketball team's big win over Utah? Was it this cunning steal and ferocious slam by Eddie Lampkin going coast to coast in Wednesday night's win over Cal? Was it this incredible display of hops by Jalen Sherrod, swatting this 3 and turning it into an assist on the other end last night against Washington? Or was it this impressive balance by Paxton Bunting, flipping a shot on net and translating into a big-time goal by George Eisen, the D1 men's hockey team's game against Oregon? The winner will be revealed later on in the show. Coming up after the break, we have hockey, baseball, track, and more.
Off to Matty Nolan, fake the 3, drives.
The D1 men's hockey team finished up their home season last weekend against the Oregon Ducks. 9 seniors played in their final games on home ice as CU looked to finish their season on a high note. Black and Gold took the first matchup 4-2, while Oregon played spoiler on senior night, winning on Saturday 6-3. The Buffaloes still have 2 games left on their schedule as they head out to Sin City to face off against UNLV, who's preparing for the ACHA National Tournament. Should be an exciting weekend in Las Vegas, and maybe the Buffs can upset the 5th-ranked Rebels to gain momentum for next season.
The women's team played in the WWCHL playoffs in Salt Lake City over the week, starting with a close 2-1 win over Utah on last Friday. The captain and graduating senior Melina Atwood put the Buffs up 2 before they surrendered a goal. Colorado would shut the door, though, eliminating the Utes on their own ice. The next day would be an even bigger challenge for CU, who would play a rematch game against Colorado State in a Rocky Mountain face-off in the playoffs. This nail-biting game was tied up by the Rams in the 3rd period and did not go to single, not double, but triple overtime, but before who else but Melina Atwood scored for the Buffs. The exhausted Colorado roster, though, would then face the strongest team in the conference, the Arizona State Sun Devils, in the championship game, and they would surrender 6 goals in their shutout defeat. The silver lining, though, freshman Mia Fischelli scored 2 in that game and 3 total in the Buffs playoff run, giving the team some hope for the coming seasons.
The men's club lacrosse team had a successful Arizona road trip over the last week as they took not 1, but 2 victories. The first of which was a victory over Grand Canyon, in which what was a match that CU controlled from the start. They eventually closed it out 11-5. They followed that with an outstanding upset victory over the number 15 ranked Arizona State Sun Devils on Monday. With the game tied at 10 in overtime, All-American senior Jake McCountry attacked the net and sent a dart past the goaltender to win it. Now, the Black and Gold looks to follow that up with another upset as they face off against the number 1 ranked Virginia Tech Hokies on Monday at 7 p.m. That game is at Kittredge Field, but if you can't make it, we'll have the broadcast on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I look forward to freezing there, Zach. The club baseball team opened their spring season with 3 games in sunny San Diego this past weekend. The Buffs would first face the San Diego State Aztecs, who made light work of the Buffs. Colorado would lose 15-0 in that game, with all but 1 batter on the Aztecs scoring. CU wasn't shaken, however, as an hour later they would play D2 San Diego University, where the Buffs would score a 5-1 win. Pitcher Ethan Richmond of the Buffs would give up just 3 hits in the game on Sunday. On Sunday, later though, they'd play another D2 school, San Marcos, a shockingly close game for the Buffaloes that ended with a 4-3 upset loss. The NCBA Mid-American West play starts this weekend for the Buffs, however, as they'll have their first home series against the Northern Colorado Bears. They'll have a doubleheader at 11 and 2 on Saturday, and then a noon game on Sunday. And as always, if you can't make those games at Scott Carpenter Field, be sure to catch the game live right here on the Scope of Sports YouTube channel.
Women's 4x400 set a new record last week in Seattle with an incredible time, coming in at 3:35.63. This shattered the school record that was set in 2019. Nicholas Bianco won first place in his pole vaulting event. The team's next event will be March 8th in Boston, Massachusetts for the NCAA Indoor Championships.
The men's golf team claimed the crown at CSU Fullerton last week after their third annual performance at the Wyoming Desert Match Play. The Buffs finished 5th 2 years ago and 2nd last year at this field. This being a match play, it was a team-based win, and all the Buffs showed up. Head coach Roy Edwards said he is excited and proud that everyone in the team had a hand in the victory. The Buffs will return in 2 weeks in San Diego.
The women's golf team finished 8th last week at the Pac-12 preview. The Buffs finished 28 over par, while the Buffs struggled at the start. Towards the end, they started playing better than their second round score, shooting 12 over, 304 on the final 18 holes. Coach Ann Kelly said the team faced challenging conditions on the field, with fast, firm greens and tough hole locations. The Buffs will work on reducing their double bogeys and hopefully become more competitive afterwards. The Buffs will return in a little less than 2 weeks in Fairfax, California.
Last Sunday, the ski team won the RMISA championship for the first time since 2017. Already regular season champs, the Buffs took home first place for the 29th time in program history at Cross Cut Mountain Sports Center in Bozeman, Montana. 15 skiers earned all RMISA honors, with Flip Walquist being named the MVP in the men's slalom racing. With the victory, the entire team now qualifies for next week's NCAA championships in Steamboat Springs on March 6th through the 9th.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Rapid Fire, our Play of the Week winner, and our trivia answer after the break.
What's up, everyone? I'm Alex Roberts, firing you all into the weekend with Rapid Fire. Starting off, the women's lacrosse team is on the road in Ann Arbor to face the Michigan Wolverines at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Next, the club baseball team is playing their first home games of the season against the Northern Colorado Bears, with 2 games on Saturday and the finale on Sunday. Saturday afternoon, the women's basketball team hosts their senior day against Washington State at 1 p.m. And finally, on Sunday night, the men's basketball team plays in their home finale against Stanford at 7 p.m. Thanks for joining me on this fiery journey through the world of CU sports. And now I'll send it out to Melena Humphreys, who's at the CU Event Center, getting an inside look at the preparations for senior night.
I'm currently at the CU Event Center, where it is absolutely buzzing with staff in preparation for the games this weekend. Over a span of 2 days, this Saturday and Sunday, the men's and women's basketball team will be honoring their seniors in their final home games of the season. Buff Vision's very own Eric Poloni takes us behind the scenes so we can get an inside look into the preparation that goes into these senior night games.
Well, senior night's just a great opportunity for the seniors to kind of have one last, home game, family and friends in town, little extra presentation, usually a framed jersey, run some extra videos.
Weeks before the big night, meetings are held to coordinate all the media and visuals that need to be created.
We kind of had a preliminary meeting talking about, hey, what are we going to do? Here's what we did last year. So just kind of taking notes from what we did previously.
After creating a solid plan, Eric Poloni and Derek Swanson will begin the editing process.
If you've done your job properly over the last 4 or 5 years, finding footage of those players from throughout their career should be pretty simple. It's not that hard to pull it together because, throughout the season, we're always melting all of our footage, and so we kind of have all those things ready to go.
The senior night celebrations will take place over a 2-day period. The women's seniors will be celebrated at 1 p.m. on Saturday, followed by the men's seniors at 7 p.m. on Sunday.
So it's just a nice way to send seniors off, after a career here at CU.
You can support the seniors by attending the games either Saturday or Sunday. All you need is to either claim a ticket, purchase a ticket, or use your student pass to get in. Melena Humphreys, ScoBuff Sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Melania. And now it's time to review our Play of the Week. Drum roll, please. The winner, receiving 40% of the vote, is Jalen Sherrod. The All-American nominee bolted over to the corner, flying and blocking Washington's Ari Long. She then sprinted the floor and turned defense into offense with this pass to Maddie Nolan. There's been so much talk about the prime effect that many could overlook the incredible Sherrod effect felt all throughout Buffs women's hoops.
Yeah, I mean, what a play that was. And then earlier in the show, we asked you, where does Tristan da Silva rank all time for CU men's point scorers? The answer to that is, once again, drumroll please, number 20 in Colorado history. Actually, he was 23rd place before the Cal game. He jumped 3 spots during his season-high 22-point game. And in addition, da Silva has become the 20th Buff of all time to reach the 1,300th point milestone, and is only 2 points away from passing Jay Humphreys in all-time points, which is some pretty good company to be in. By the way, KJ Simpson is just 5 spots away from Tristan in 25th at all time, sitting at 1,251 points.
For our social media post of the week, the Buffs were featured on the Instagram page of the Hockey House podcast, the leading comprehensive source for ACHA and AAU college hockey news. The video edit from Colorado's final home game against Oregon features senior forward Paxton Bunting deftly evade 2 Duck defensemen in an incredible spinorama maneuver before passing the puck to fellow forward George Isa to tuck home the Buffs' third and final goal of the night. Despite the 6-3 loss to Oregon, a stellar play on senior night makes its mark, being featured to the entire college hockey community.
Well, that'll about do it for this week. I'm Nick Evans.
And I'm Zachary Giesensaw. We hope to see you all next week, and as always, Sko Buffs.